Okay, it's 2 o'clock. I'll call this special meeting of the Lawton City Council to order. Please stand for the invocation by Elder George Gill and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we come before your throne this great day to give you thanks for all the many blessings. We know all things come from you. We ask you to be with this city government today and help us do those things that are in according with your will. We again thank you for all the many blessings. Ask you for all the families here represented, that you'll bless them and be with them. We ask you that when that day does come, that you'll take us from here to home in eternity with thee. These many things we ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, Elder Gill. And let's see, please call the roll.
Hankins. Here. Harris. Present. Chapman. Present. Gill.
Here.
Hampton. Here. Uyghur. Here. Williams.
Here.
Warren.
Look at there, really important stuff today. I'm glad we have a full house. Thank you all for being here. And I think the city manager has an introduction that he wants to make before we get started with business items.
I do, Mayor. Mayor and Council, I'd like to introduce our new Finance Director, Ms. Rebecca Johnson, who comes to us from a CFO position in Wichita Falls, where she was the Duncan. Come on up here. She's also been a municipal finance director before, and she has utility billing experience, so great experience for the position. So we wanted to introduce her today. So,
Mayor and Council,
what's your name
nice
again?
to meet you. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
And Rebecca, have you been to orientation?
I feel like that's all I've done.
Okay. Somebody forgot to tell you about the I Love Lawton Fort Sill pin.
I don't have one yet, but I'll be happy to go
Here,
find
I'll
one
tell you
immediately.
what we're going to do. We're going to give you this one, and then we're going to welcome you. We're glad that you're here. Do you want to tell us anything about yourself?
I'm available for any questions through the city manager's office. And I will work hard to serve you the best that I know how.
All right. Well, thank you. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get started. Business item number 1. Discuss potential redundancies of service between the city engineering department and vendors. Consider whether to fund the engineering department at the current projected level and direct staff as necessary. Joe Painter.
Council and Mayor. Let's see if our button works. Hey, look at that. Brief introduction of what the engineering department does, just a reminder. The engineering department is responsible for the design, utility relocation coordination, right-of-way, acquisition, and construction administration of all capital improvement projects, including the preparation of our annual capital improvement project budget. Our duties include the design, survey, construction admin, and inspection of projects. The department reviews, coordinates the internal preparation and the external preparation of all plans of various types of projects. The projects that we typically work on are infrastructure projects such as municipal streets, park facilities, sidewalks, bridges, drainage facilities, water, sewer, storm drains, and many other special projects. Other functions of the engineering department include GIS system updates, archiving the system constructions plans, responsibility for city construction standards, surveying functions for the city, and special studies and reports. I might add, one of our new hires is one of our construction inspectors, and he's actually also a surveyor, so we kind of got a 2-for-1 with him. I lost track where I was. The engineering department is also instrumental in the preparation and acquisition of grants. We help fund the capital improvement projects. We currently are receiving approximately $27 million from ODOT for roadway projects, $1.3 million TAP grant for the East Gore Boulevard Shared Use Path project, a $5 million grant from the Department of Commerce for the Goodyear project we're getting ready to start, and a $2 million EDA grant that's kind of old, but we just got it for the Lee Boulevard project. I'm going to go through here try to be really brief. You guys have seen a whole bunch of these, just a description example of the type of projects that we work on. I just wanted to clear up one thing. There's a little bit of confusion. A lot of the roadway work, or a lot of the roadway work, the mill and overlay everybody sees throughout town is maintenance and repair work. And that work is not done through our engineering office. Those funds are in the Public Works funds, and Public Works manages and operates those. They previously didn't have a large consultant contractor-based mill and overlay project, so we kind of help them get started, kind of up and running. But that work and funding is through Public Works and not us. So if you're seeing maintenance and repair, which is mill and overlay, that is Public Works. If you're seeing reconstruction, city hall, parks, construction of major things, that's the engineering department. One of our projects we're finishing on this is an example of the Gore Boulevard project. Before we could do the Gore Boulevard, we had to get all the utilities out of the way, and one of ours was our water line. The water line's been well constructed, and we're actually under construction on Gore Boulevard. Started raining and hasn't stopped since we've been started, but Dewitt Construction is the contractor. They got a lot of workers out there. They're going to get after it and get this project finished. The pedestrian bridge we're having a pre-work meeting June 26th. This one was with ODOT. This is one of the ones that we were, because of COVID and other things, a little underfunded, but I went back to ODOT and lobbied and got some more funds to finish up the pedestrian bridge project, which is the steel truss bridge over I-44 at Gore. Of course, you guys are familiar with our ad valorem projects. These are the ones that we've completed. This was phase 1. They're all throughout town. We are currently working on phase 2, which we broke into 2 construction projects, a 2A and a 2B. And that way we have 4 roadways under construction at all times. So if you see a residential road under construction, it is in engineering and we're reconstructing the roadway. Some of the roads just need maintenance and repair, which is the mill and overlay projects you see. These are the GoBond or the ad valorem projects, phase 1 or phase 2, in A and B, and they're scattered all throughout town and through the different wards. 38th Street, this is an example of a project that's been around long before I got here. We've been trying to finish it up. There's a water line associated with it. I hear word that we may just want to mill and overlay it. And if so, then we would turn that over to Public Works and let them finish up the mill and overlay. We have about half of the right-of-way acquired right now, and we'll continue to acquire the right-of-way because it really needs to be at some point a full depth reconstruction. Sheridan Road, this is a road that we just selected a consultant. We're getting ready to get started on. How we attack this road, we're getting ready to figure out, and we'll bring different status reports back to council on that. These are all the ad valorem, what people commonly call GoBond projects in the city that we've done or are working on and are scattered out throughout the entire city. This is a list of all the ad valorem projects that have been done and or will be completed, and with that will be 32 roads. Now, 38th Street, we may end up milling and overlaying. This is a good example of these lists of roadways. We work with Public Works, we'll work with the Streets and Roads Committee and make a decision on if do they need total reconstruction or do they need mill and overlay, or what is the timing, when can we get to it, those sort of things. With the ad valorem extension, we added in bridge projects that we desperately needed, and we're working on that funding, how to do those projects. The first two projects on that list, though, are the Cash Road Bridge over Wolf Creek, which is it is a maintenance and repair project, but because it's bridges, it's in our department. The 11th Street Bridge, which is the one out towards the landfill, and Councilman Gill, we have all of our right-of-way now, by the way,
So, Joe,
is,
are we getting to, this agenda item is not a list of all the projects you're managing, unless you're somehow getting to discuss potential redundancies of service between the city engineering department and vendors. Is that where you're headed?
well, I don't have any redundancy. That's the point of the mill and overlay. We don't have any redundancy. That's why we were trying to update you on the type of work that we actually do.
Okay, so are you just giving us a overview of everything you're managing?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's not what the agenda item is, and while it's much appreciated, it's not what the agenda item is. Now, am I correct in that? Okay. And you don't have any discussion for us? The direction given to staff was to bring back a discussion on redundancies of engineering and contracts or contract to contract. Is that not right? I'm going from memory. So you don't have that for us today?
Well, this is what I submitted to the city manager Friday. So
Okay, that wasn't my question. You don't
no,
have,
this is the PowerPoint we have today.
this is a PowerPoint of all your projects.
Yes, and what we do. We don't have a redundancy of.
And so we don't have what the council directed. Is that correct? Okay.
Well,
Okay, I'm sorry. Were you
I was just going to say, I think maybe Joe's just kind of going about it in a roundabout way. So he's talking about what projects that he's working on to show that there's not any overlap or duplicative services. So I think that's what he's getting at. He's just doing that through the vignette of individual projects, if that makes sense.
Okay, but you're telling me there is no redundancy in what your office does and what contracts, outside services?
No, sir.
Okay, we're going to stick with redundancy. Does anybody have questions? I don't know how we're supposed to get where we're going to go, but Ms. Williams.
Can you, I think it's 3 slides back, it was showing what was completed. Can you go back? I think it's like
Okay,
3.
I'm gonna ask that questions be limited to the agenda item, which is redundancy. Do you have a question about redundancy?
No.
Okay. Is anybody, Mr. Hampton?
Really, this whole idea came up, and it's not really a good excuse, a good reason, because it's not really redundancy in a sense. But this is what got me thinking about, and that's that I had a call from a constituent that talked about some potholes being filled, and then a month later they did the overlay, and now you're saying that really wasn't part of the engineering department. But with all the roads and everything that we're building, it's really a fantastic thing that's going on, especially downtown, in the downtown area, if anyone hasn't been down there before. But this constituent kind of put this idea in my head, and I do get a lot of questions about roads, 38th and Sheridan, other roads. And so I was really, in my mind, I was thinking that maybe there's some coordination, some confusion and stuff that's going on with with some of the road projects. So I wanted kind of an update on how all of that was working, and I talked to different people, some of the vendors, you and Cliff, and aren't you guys all in the same building down there?
No, sir.
Okay, I thought that I went down there for a
Cliff
meeting.
works for Public Works.
But is he down in your building? I think I went to a meeting and he was down this way.
Larry's in our building.
Okay.
Larry Walcott, Public Works Director, has an office.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I have, Mayor.
Mr. Mayor. Go ahead. Try it now.
Okay, thank you. Are you Larry's boss?
No, sir.
Okay. Would you say you're an equal? I'm just wanting to know. I've always wondered that because I know Larry's in charge of the public works or the utilities, but you're the city engineer. And looking at the table of organization, which sometimes doesn't cover everything, and I think this is where all this really started, is really who's working for who and how. Because if you're the head of engineering, whether it's spelled out in the duties of the engineering department, all this really falls under that umbrella. It has to, because there's certain things that we're doing that affect things that you're doing. Like, for example, right now, you just mentioned that we bought out all the utilities along 38th Street. Or I think you said 50%, but I believe we're about 90, but that really isn't the point. The point is we've done that. Now, that's something your department has done, yet we're looking at a mill and overlay. So you really can't separate certain parts of engineering to certain individuals and then tell other ones, even like the maintenance and all, they need to work hand in hand. And I think this is where this is coming to, because regardless of who the boss is and regardless of who's over who and regardless of what the exact definitions and responsibilities of the engineering department is, it's still an encompassing overall thing that has anything to do with roads, streets, sidewalks, utilities, or whatever. It's just like Rusty's in that mix also. He kind of runs his own department, but you know, are you Rusty's boss or is Rusty your boss? No, so I think we see there's a coordination that has to be under engineering. That's kind of a broad word that kind of catches all. So, for example, last council meeting we were talking about traffic control in the city of Lawton, which is a disaster. Not blaming anyone. Most of it was done long before anyone in this auditorium was even here. But from east to west and west to east and north to south, our traffic controls need a lot of work. And maybe at one time they were sufficient. I'm not even going to discuss that. But what I am going to discuss is that we have two different engineering firms working on traffic control in the city of Lawton. And who do they answer to? All of them to Larry, but yet you're working with Larry. So that's redundancy right now. Why do we have two different traffic engineering firms working? I think we get into that with mill and overlay. There's no way to do mill and overlay work in this city and prepare these streets and worry about right-of-ways and this sort of thing without everyone working together. And the point maybe being brought up here is that engineering is not working at all with the outside contractors as far as mill and overlay go. So I know that's been my concern, is mill and overlay has kind of been running, or that subcontractor's just been kind of running on their own, kind of loose and doing what they need. Now, what about your inspector? You have an inspector that works for you. Does he not inspect any of this type of work?
He doesn't work for Public Works, and no, sir, we're not inspecting the mill and overlay projects.
Okay.
We're inspecting our construction projects.
Okay. So I think that might be where the confusion is. Those might be things we need to look at to see really who's the boss.
Sounds like you're describing a lack of cooperation rather than redundancy.
I am.
Okay. You have any comments on that?
No, sir.
Okay. So Mr. Harris?
Have we compared the list of the ad valorem to the 10 wins for the citizens? Because I thought I saw a couple of...
Yeah, that's a good point. Those list of ad valorem streets were set before I even came to Lawton, right?
Okay.
And one of the things that we did accomplish together, it's not like we don't work together, we did work together to get the IMF contract because what we needed was a pavement condition index. And we did work with Public Works, because that's something we will use jointly, is that pavement index study to analyze these roads. And we didn't have that before, and that wasn't set before. It was set in stone that when I got here, these roads were going to be reconstructed. Now we have better information. We have data that shows some roads that some of our reports said need to be milled and overlaid, but say they need total depth reconstruction. Others that we were reconstructed that say maybe they could have been milled and overlaid. But now we have that data, and we're already using that data to relook at these projects. But they're already underway before I even got here.
And all I'm saying is I think there's a couple of that were on both lists. So we ought to compare those two lists and eliminate them from one list.
We do
to the
that.
other.
We do that.
Okay, so I think the 12th Street between Taylor and
Yes, sir. Cliff and I talked about that. We
is
took it off
also-
out of our ad valorem
okay,
contract.
thanks.
Okay, well, it sounds like the report is there is no redundancy.
No,
Right.
sir.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I'd like to ask about, you are the city engineer, so more or less the buck stops with you. Is that correct?
My department, yes, sir.
So you
I
can-
only have the authority
well-
that was given to me
well,
when I got here.
I think
you know?
that's the problem, the department and what the workload on that department is, because the city engineer, and I know you coordinate with the other engineers and they all have a vital role, but someone has to lead the orchestra. And I think that's where the problem is coming in. I can't foresee a city engineering department running that department and not having oversight to some degree over a major project of mill and overlay going on.
We would love to, sir.
Then my next question, well, why don't you? Because I have a list of calls dated and documented where your department was called and no response over a period of about a year. Now, I'm not going to bring all of that right now. We don't have time. So why don't we have that coordination? Can you give me a reason why we don't have that coordination? Just curious what your...
It's how it was set up when I got here.
No. I mean, just the past year. Since you've been here, you could change any policies you want as long as you bring it through the city manager and we all agree. I haven't seen any come forward. But having said that, is there a problem in the past, say, 1-year program on the 10 Wins for the Citizens that you haven't reached out with the subcontractor or the
We
engineering
helped set up the
consultant?
10 Wins. We got them started. We put their packet and put their construction documents together for them. We showed them how to advertise and bid. We helped them get the list started, how to use the ICF code and look at it. We've gone over it in engineering. We've concurred with it. But yeah, we got it, helped get it off the ground and running.
Well, my point to that is that's partially correct. Yes, you did, but there were a lot of errors in a lot of areas that we didn't do those things. So I'm just asking you, why didn't you adopt this as part of the as your program on actually listing these out and working with the contractor to what streets we're going to do, how, when, and where, set up that timetable, plus the fact you just said we have no inspection either from the city. Is that correct?
No, we do. In engineering, we have a full inspection, construction inspection staff.
You're inspecting mill and overlay?
No, we're not.
Yeah, that's what you just said. We're not. So that's
It's not under my department, and that's not how it's structured. I don't have the authority to change
I
that.
think that's the
Hey,
problem.
hold on just a minute. I
I'm
think
done.
we need to,
I'm done.
I think we need to refer this to the city manager for his appropriate disposition, and I'm going to encourage you to visit with the city manager, okay?
I know him well.
Now, do we need any other action on this? It's my impression we do not need action. Okay, we're going to move on. Thank you. Number 2, receive a report on the status of the CIP dashboard and direct staff as deemed necessary. Judy?
Hey. Okay. Maybe. Okay. I'm here to present to you what we have on our CIP programs, our active, not programs, sorry, projects that are on our city's website. So, and you can get that from the main page and go over there. These are the list. I was asked, my mouse is not working. Donald, did you release your mouse? Your mouse? Okay, there it goes, sorry. Whew. So I was asked to make some changes to this. As of, you'll see on 6/3/2024, we added the last updated. So that way, when we run through and we pull the financials from finance, that those are updated and they reflect on the website. So there's no more of the, how quickly or what's the date or time frame that when it was last updated. So the citizens will see that, or the public will see that. We've also added all the active projects, make sure that they're all there. I got that confirmation from Public Utilities, Engineering, and Parks. And so we're all good there. And as you notice, we also added project photos. So as you click on each one of these projects and you go to the project photos, you can click on the images, which each department will upload one, and you can actually look what's going on. So a little bit extra information. You also will know that these are all the funding source for each of the projects, if it's cash, loan, or other. I remember some things were presented to me to say grant funding, other could be other sources of funding like from ODOT or other entities. And this will show how much is spent too. So you have the proposed budget and how much is spent. These below here, they tell you for the sub-projects of each one of when they start, estimated start date, end date, and the current phase that they're in. Are there any questions?
Weren't we going to change the other to?
Yes.
I forgot what.
I don't have my notes. Yes, we were going to change that.
Yes,
Yes,
partnerships and
Yes,
grants or something
yes.
like that?
That didn't get updated. So instead of other.
Partnership, grants, other,
Yes.
but most of it would be either partnerships like with ODOT or grants. Other would be insignificant probably, but,
No, yeah, we were going to replace other with partnerships and grants.
okay, and this last updated, that is on each project, or is that a date
that
that's
is a
for
date.
the whole site?
For the whole, for all the financials for all those projects.
Okay. Are we ready to have a CIP committee meeting with this?
As you can see, yes.
We are?
As you can see, yes.
Okay, I like that smile.
But as far as future, I have funding source and all that, I have no control over that. So I apologize.
Now, wait just a minute, say that
For
again.
future projects, like if you were to put future projects on there, I don't know that funding source.
Okay.
I will have to defer to finance.
Okay, all right. Okay, good cooperation between everybody to get
Yes.
information?
Yes,
Okay.
excellent.
All right, and we've gotten all of we didn't just take care of the problem that was in our face, we set up a system to keep this
Yes.
moving forward?
Yes.
Okay,
We sure
great.
did.
This is going to be awesome. And the reason this is so important, as you well know, I'm saying this for the public, this is about transparency to the citizens.
Yes.
And it's not just about them going and seeing where Gore Boulevard is. It's about transparency of the process and the money, which is what they're most interested in, I think. So,
Yes.
good job. Thank you. Council, do you have any comments? Good job. Yes.
Mayor, I'd like to say, again, I agree, kudos to what you said on the efficiency regarding this project of putting this information out in front of the citizens who ask what is going on. They
Right.
can see the progress. Just well done. Well done.
And our goal on this is to be so up to date that we can have a CIP committee, which
Yes.
is an oversight committee, with this information that's on here and brief them with that information.
Excellent.
The same information that's available to citizens. Mr. Hampton?
Yeah, the little map area there, Judy, I kind of made that bigger, and I guess it has more detail in it for the citizens. Is that correct? When you
yes.
tap on things in there?
No, yes, it does, and it just tells you some more information on it. but you'll have to zoom into it.
Yeah, and the portal, is that where the portal,
same,
that's
yes.
where they'll find the portal where they turn in something, they can go into that map also?
What do you mean as far as the iHelp Lawton?
Yes, yeah.
Totally different map. They have to go through a different side.
Okay, but
They're
this
not
has,
together.
this looks like it has some things in there like, but, oh, these are the aquatic plants and everything. Okay, I got you.
Yes, these are all the projects.
But more detail inside that map.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Is anyone else?
Mr. Hampton, I would just add, like the iHelp portal, though, the information is only as good as it's being frequently updated. And so we're definitely going to stay on top of that, and we're going to make sure that the information that's listed on the CIP portal is the most up-to-date information, and so that information will be available to council and the citizens.
Okay, I think we're done. Thank you very
All right,
much,
Mayor,
Judy. Good job. It really
you.
looks good, and I'm really proud of that. Thank you.
Just a
Oh,
quick,
I'm sorry.
just a
Yeah.
quick question. How often are the updates? Are they weekly, monthly?
It'll
Here-
really depend upon how quickly a project is going. So there's no set answer per se, but we will look at information at least on a monthly basis to make sure that there have been no updates, is what we
Yes,
discussed.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Judy.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings up number 3. Consider approving the City of Lawton's proposed budget with revisions for FY 2025 by resolution. Kristen.
Good afternoon. So at the last council meeting, we had our budget hearing. At that time, you all indicated that you wanted the CPI removed, which we did. Those changes are reflected in the budget resolution and the budget revision number 2 that are exhibits for this agenda item today. Be happy to answer any questions on those exhibits or the budget as a whole.
One question, did we pick up the money for the lake office?
That's in the CIP.
Okay.
Okay, I think this is awesome. I think it's awesome that the city manager suggested that we do not put in the CPI. And I think that we've got $10 million in streets materials, which is a first. Last year was a first with 4.5. This year's got 10 and 10 point something. I think our parks budget is great on this. I think we've made changes to meet the citizens' expectation on cleaning up neighborhoods. And I think the city manager's added funds to take care of that. I think funds are assured that are there to take care of, to meet the citizens' expectation on litter control. Those are highlights for me. The whole thing's a highlight. And I think we continue to move forward, and I'm excited about this budget. I think it's a giant step forward over just a few years ago, and I'm very proud of it. Council, do you have any comments, or are you just ready to vote? Yes, sir, Mr. Warren.
I was going to mention what you just did about thanking the manager for the CPI, and like I said the other day, I really appreciate the fact that we don't have to raise it. We're not going to raise it. That way the citizens can trust that when we do raise it, that it's really needed. With that said, I would make a motion to approve the City of Lawton's proposed budget with revisions for fiscal year 2025 by resolution.
We have a motion, a second by Mr. Gill. Discussion or debate? Please vote. I don't know how to vote. Okay, well, I vote yes. I don't know how to vote. I do it so often, but I vote yes. Hey, that passed 9-0. Pretty exciting. Great
Mayor,
job. Thank you. Yes.
Before we move on, can I make a comment? Kristen, I'd like for you to come back up, please. So Kristen, as our Deputy Finance Director, was largely responsible for putting together the budget this year, making sure that everything balanced, making any number of different amendments and adjustments that we had during this process. She really did an excellent job, and she did so under some very challenging circumstances. So I wanted to publicly thank her and, you know, just make sure that everyone knows how hard that she's worked on this, and this passage is in large part due to her efforts. So, thanks, Kristen.
Am I good?
Oh, that was great. Thank you. All right. Item number 4, consider approving ordinance number 2024-blank relating to taxation, amending the Lawton City Sales Tax Code, codified as Article 10.2 of Chapter 10 of the Lawton City Code, 2015, by the enactment of an amendment to paragraph D under section 10.2.205 of the Lawton City Code 2015, levying and extending an existing excise tax of 2 1/8% in addition to all other excise taxes assessed and levied by the city of Lawton, Oklahoma, and all other taxing authorities upon the gross proceeds or gross receipts derived from all sales taxable under the sales tax laws of the state of Oklahoma, providing for extending the term of the existing excise tax from terminating on December 31, 2034 to a new termination date ending December 31, 2040, with the exception of a 1% existing excise tax, which shall be permanent for an indefinite period, providing that the excise tax levied by this amended paragraph D under section 10.2.205 shall be cumulative to all other excise taxes levied by this chapter or any other taxing authority, providing for codification, providing an effective date for sections 1 and 2 of this ordinance, with approval of the ordinance by city voters required, providing for severability and requiring the full text to be published. Tim.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So the item before you is the ordinance that will amend our sales tax code. If approved by the voters, this will be what the mayor's termed the Propel 2040 initiative. And it's exactly kind of what the title says. We are going to, if the voters approve, extend the 2 1/8 from December 31st of 2034 to December 31st of 2040. We'll also be making 1% of that, the full 1% of that part of that tax to be permanent and indefinite. And that is the ordinance. If you have any questions, Mayor.
So let's define indefinite. That means unless the citizens take it off.
That is correct, sir.
The citizens are the only one that can take it off, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I do have one question, and you're going to shoot me. Under economic development, something I forgot to bring up is there are moves all across the nation, really, but particularly in Oklahoma, to develop entrepreneurial ecosystems as part of their economic development program. And I've got that in mind in those economic development funds that we work to build an entrepreneur ecosystem. And that just means building a system that promotes entrepreneurship as a way to create jobs. Now, and I want to make sure that that clause, the way it's written, allows us to address that. You got that? It's in item D under economic development. So if you'll read that while we're talking other questions here. I say I got Tim thoroughly confused. And are there other questions? Mr. Gill.
Just one question. Did we have to return here in 2040?
Well, sir, the ordinance will, the sales tax would expire in 2040, the part that's not permanent and indefinite. So at that point, or at some point prior there too, if we wanted to ask the voters to extend further the non-indefinite part, we would have to have another vote. Yes, sir.
Okay. So my question on the resolution, not the ordinance. So I'll just delay that, and you can be confused on the next one.
Sorry, that's where I was lost.
No. Okay, any other or a motion?
Make a motion to approve the ordinance. Read the title only.
We have a motion and a second. Who made the second? Mr. Uyghur. Discussion or debate? Please read the title.
All right.
title I've ever read of an ordinance.
Ordinance relating to finance and taxation, amending the Lawton City Sales Tax Code codified as Article 10-2 of Chapter 10 of the Lawton City Code 2015 by the enactment of an amendment to paragraph D under Section 10-2-205 by enacting an ordinance levying and extending an existing excise tax of 2 1/8% in addition to all other excise taxes assessed and levied by the City of Lawton, Oklahoma, and all other taxing authorities upon the gross proceeds or gross receipts derived from all sales taxable under the sales tax laws of the state of Oklahoma, providing for extending the term of the existing excise tax from terminating on December 31st, 2034 to a new termination date ending December 31st, 2040, with the exception of a 1% existing excise tax which shall be permanent for an indefinite period, providing that the excise tax levied by this amended paragraph D under Section 10-2-205 shall be cumulative to all other excise taxes levied by this chapter or any other taxing authority, providing for codification and providing an effective date for Sections 1 and 2 of this ordinance with approval of the ordinance by city voters required, providing for severability of the provisions of this ordinance and requiring the full text to be published.
Please vote. Motion carries 8-0. That brings up item 5. Consider approving a resolution repealing and replacing resolution number 2024-114, specifying the administrative intent of the mayor and council of the city of Lawton, Oklahoma, with regard to a proposed extension of the term of the existing excise tax of 2 1/8%. Said extension to be considered by the registered voters of the city of Lawton, Oklahoma, at an election held for such purpose on August 27, 2024. Such 2 1/8% sales tax that combined and replaced the existing 7/8 of 1% capital improvement operational expenditure sales tax and the 1 1/4% capital improvement sales tax as approved by the registered voters of the city of Lawton, Oklahoma, at an election held for such purpose on February 11, 2020, providing this resolution shall become effective on the passage of ordinance number 2024 at an election to be held on August 27, 2024. Tim.
Mayor and Council, so this is a companion item for the ordinance that Council just approved, subject to voters' approval. And this resolution that comes before you today, essentially at the last council meeting, we did a amendment to the resolution of intent where we had some additional funds or some inflationary funds, as we call it, and we allocated some additional funds to City Hall renovation and to parks. And that is the resolution that's in the title 24114. And so what we are doing is we're continuing the process, and we are essentially repealing resolution 2020-24-114, subject to the voters approving the election, the proclamation in August. But if that occurs, then 2024-114 will be repealed, and this will become the new resolution of intent, which now includes a section D that the mayor referenced, the Propel 2040 section, with the projects and the items set forth in that new section for Propel 2040. And I think this is where the mayor was asking me about.
Okay, and it's Propel 2040, not Propel 2024.
Yes.
It's Propel 2040. And then my question is about D1.
So in Propel 2040, paragraph D1 does talk about industrial development. It talks about $35 million of additional funding. It mentions it has to be spent in furtherance of industrial development, and I believe I wanted to say I saw something here about our industrial development policy. In accordance with the city's industrial development policy. So as long as what you're doing, Mayor, what you're proposing is in accordance with our industrial development policy, we're good. But I heard what you were saying. Yeah.
That makes sense. Very good. Answers my question. Great. You got any problem with that? Okay. Questions? Motion.
Move to approve the resolution.
Have a motion to approve, and the second was by Ms. Williams. Discussion or debate? Please vote.
And Mayor, while everyone's voting, as I say, this is David Floyd with the law firm of Floyd and Driver, one of our bond counsels. Lynn couldn't be here today, so he's
Okay, and these are the guys that watch every move we make to make sure that we do exactly what we told the voters, and I appreciate that oversight, but you know, all the things we get accused of, their job is to keep us from doing all the things that we get accused of doing. And so we're going to start giving your phone number out. All right, that carries 8-0. Good to have you, David.
Save yourself.
Item number 6, consider approving a resolution authorizing the mayor to issue a proclamation calling for a special election, submitting ordinance number 2024-blank to the registered voters of the city of Lawton, Oklahoma for their approval or disapproval, which, if approved, would amend the city sales tax code by extending and levying an existing excise tax of 2 1/8% on all sales taxable under the sales tax laws of the state of Oklahoma, providing for extending the term of the existing excise tax from terminating on December 31, 2034 to a new termination date ending December 31, 2040, with the exception of 1% existing excise tax, which shall be permanent for an indefinite period, effective October 1, 2024, specifying the proposition to be submitted to the voters, providing that the call for the election shall be by mayoral proclamation, providing for publication of this resolution and the proclamation issued by the mayor to call the said election, and further providing that the returns thereof shall be canvassed by the county election board pursuant to state law and certified to the mayor and council. Tim.
Mayor and Council, this is a companion item to the other items on the CIP. Essentially what we have here is a resolution authorizing the issuance of the proclamation that will be voted on. And if you look into the item, you will see a copy of the proposition that the voters will be asked to consider on August 27th. The exact wording, it has language that is known as Propel 2040, and if it's approved, it does not increase the existing sales tax in Lawton, so it's got some very important language in there. But we're asking council to approve this so we can get it to the election board by June 12th. June 12th. And David plans on taking that over today.
Ms. Chapman.
Mayor, Council, I move that we approve this resolution.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion or debate? Please vote. Did somebody leave? We have one more. There we go. Motion carries 8-0. Bringing up item number 7. Consider approving a resolution relating to the special election called by the mayor and council of the city of Lawton for August 27, 2024, for the purpose of submitting to city voters ordinance number 2024-blank, levying and extending the term of an existing 2 1/8% excise tax from terminating on December 31, 2034 to a new termination date of December 31, 2040, with the exception of a 1% existing tax, which shall be permanent for an indefinite period, effective October 1, 2024, setting forth the facts required by Section 13102 of Title 26 of the Oklahoma statutes, directing the city clerk to submit this resolution to the Secretary of the Comanche County Election Board before June 12, 2024, further directing the city clerk to forthwith submit a current certified copy of the Lawton City Charter to said election board as required by law, and directing the city clerk to forthwith provide the Comanche County Election Board with a map designating the municipal limits and ward boundaries of the city of Lawton as required by Section 13107 of Title 26 of Oklahoma statutes, Tim?
Mayor, Council, this is the final companion item. This is another resolution. This will go to the election board. Basically gives the election secretary just the directions when the election will be held. It's going to be a citywide election. Also includes the proclamation, and as the mayor read, the charter, copy of the charter, and the city boundaries. Any questions?
Is there a motion? So moved. We got a motion and a second for Ms. Hankins. Discussion or debate? Please vote. Motion carries 8-0. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. You may not realize it, but you just made one of the biggest decisions for the city of Lawton in years. Now, Propel, the original Propel, is transforming the city, and you're seeing it by torn up roads and detours everywhere, which I know you appreciate that, but it's so important. It's also been important in driving industrial development in our city. This not only extends all the good that Propel started, but it adds two things that are over the top. And I know there's not much better than, I know we've been taught to know there's nothing better than some kind of wonderful, but this is backflip wonderful. And what it is it's a ½ cent dedicated to streets. I don't know why we didn't do this before, but we didn't. And it's going to be transformative for our city. And a ½ cent for parks. You can't have a great city if you don't have great parks. And so this is important. And I think we ought to applaud the whole thing. All right, and I'm assuming somewhere in there somebody's going to make a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn, a second. Please call the roll.
Warren. Hankins. Harris. Chapman. Gill. Hampton. Uyghur. Williams.
Yes.